So in this video, I wasn't really sure what to talk about, so something came to mind. How many times have I almost died? And so that kind of just revolved around my head for a bit, and so now I decided just to make it a YouTube video because, if I may as well just talk about it, at least to myself, I might as well also tell it to people. So there's quite a few times that I can remember at the top of my head that I almost died. That ranging from the time I almost got hit by a bus to the time I almost choked to another one where my brother almost choked me. And so here are the tales of the many times I have died. Oh, wait, no. The many times I almost died. Well, the first time I can remember was my dad almost once blew out one of my lungs. When I was little, my dad had just gotten a med kit, and so he was trying it out with my brother. And so I went in and asked him if I could also try it. So he started using it, and one of them was one of the respirators that you squish to give air. You squish to give air. And so he tries it on me and decides, hey, instead of using the thing they squish, why I don't just straight up use my mouth? And so in the process, he almost blew a lung. I was, I swear to God, I couldn't breathe at any moment during that. So another one I can remember, I once almost got hit by a bus while on my way to a dentist appointment. When I was little, I went with my stepmother to a dentist appointment near my house. So instead of taking a car, we just walked. And so while we were waiting for a red light, me and my stepmother got just a little too close to the edge of the street. And so a bus, going probably around 25-30 miles per hour, came. The bus was so damn close that I could sniff the paint out of the bus. After realizing that I almost got hit by a bus, I decided to step a few steps backwards just in case. That's one of them. Then another one that I can remember at the top of my head is my brother almost choked me by accident. One day, my brother was just not having a good day, and so I decided, hey, why don't I just go annoy him? It got to the point where he basically grabbed me, lifted me off the ground, slammed me into a wall, and almost choked me. I remember I could feel it almost passing out, and for those of you who don't know, there's like a really fine line between choking and knocking someone out and actual death. And that's a line that he could easily have crossed. Luckily, he let me go at the right last second, and so I didn't even end up passing out, but a bit more, I could probably have either passed out or straight up died. Another one I can remember is when I was a little kid, around 4 or 5 years old, I was again with my stepmother going to buy some groceries. With my stepmother, we went to buy some groceries, and at the time I was playing with some marbles. So we're just crossing the street, and I have no better idea than, hey, why don't I put the marble in my mouth just to keep it safe? And so we were crossing the street, and I don't know what I hit, but I hit something with my feet that made me startle for a bit, and I swallowed the marble, and it almost got stuck in my throat. I could feel it getting stuck, and then I punched myself in the throat, really quick, and then it went down. And even nowadays, I don't even know if it's still there or already processed or not, but that was a really weird experience. Another one I can remember was in middle school. One of my friends somehow managed to get her phone stuck on the roof. And so we were all debating, goddamn, how are we going to take it out of there? We're going to have to call somebody, and have no better idea to climb a fence, which the school was about 2 stories high. Climb a fence, then get to this little balcony or weird thing. It was a small square coming out of the side. Climb onto there, and from there to the roof. I managed to get to the roof. I threw down the phone into some grass, something that way I know it doesn't break, and it had a case obviously. But afterwards, I have no better idea to, hey, I'm just gonna throw myself out of the 2nd story building. And so I did. I somehow managed to land my ass first, luckily breaking nothing in the process, but that could have gone really bad real quick, especially if I so hit my head. Then there's also the many times that I could have been abducted, because, how to explain this? Where I grew up, it wasn't in the US. I grew up in Argentina, and so my first language is Spanish, of course. That's why I have this weird accent. But over there, the parents just don't really give a shit, I'm gonna be honest. And so when I was around 7 to 8 years old, my dad has no better idea to, hey, instead of taking you to school, I'm gonna make you walk to school, which was about 5 blocks away from my house. And for those of you who don't know, a block over there is not like in the US. A block is usually about 100 meters. And so 500 meters or so. Some of you may be, oh yeah, it's not that much and all stuff. Yeah, it's not much. But the thing is, over there, there's streets. the streets over there are like 100, 100, 100. We call that apple. And so this school was about 2 apples to the right of my house, and then about 3 or 4 apples to the left. And so it's not exactly a place where my parent could see where I was going. I have to go through some really like corners and stuff like that to get to my school. And so those parts, let me just say, I didn't grow up in a really good neighborhood. I didn't grow up in the worst one, but I definitely grew up in an unsafe place. And so there was about a period of 2 years that I couldn't be adopted. Luckily, I was a fat kid, so I don't think nobody could want a fat kid, but it could have easily happened. Then there's also the many times I almost got hit by cars, the same as the bus. Because that was just a little too close to the edge of a street. Then there's also a time when if my dad wouldn't have been fast enough and would have right contacts, I could have potentially become a hostage. There's one time in Argentina where the area that my dad used to have his shop. My dad used to have a military shop, like, selling like gear and all that for policemen and military. He used to and still has one of those. There was an event in Argentina around where the area that my dad had the shop where a gang was just going around and basically breaking into stores and, just kind of like going through it, trying to get some money, trying to see, if they can just get a shit ton of money. And luckily, one of my friends' dad informed me about this, one of the guys who was the police. And so my dad just bolted me out of there. I was visiting for the day. So if my dad wouldn't have been fast enough, he wouldn't have the right contacts. I could have been a possible hostage situation, but they could have grabbed me to be a ransom for my dad. So yeah, that could have been fun. Then there's also quite numerous times. There's a bunch of that I can't even remember at this point. But yeah, those are about all the time that I can think of the top of my head, which I have almost, or could have died, or possibly gotten really hurt. And so I'm still planning to do D&D videos. It's just that right now I'm doing the campaign with my player, and so as the campaign goes on, I'm gonna keep updating you guys. Look forward for a D&D video, and there probably a few weeks coming or so. But yeah, expect that coming soon. Well, I guess that'll be all.